Welcome back to Chartbusters here on CNBC TV18, and we move on to corporate conversations. And the next corporate on our radar is Gati Express and Supply Chain. The company reported a weak set of Q2 numbers. The shift in festive season demand also impacted their express logistics business. We have Pirojshaw Sarkari, who is the MD and CEO of the company, who is joining us to discuss these numbers in detail. Mr. Sarkari, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on CNBC TV18. I'd get straight to the point and ask you about the top line of your company. It's for the last 5 quarters, it's been stuck in this 420 to 440 crore band, and it's been flat on a year-on-year basis as well. Do you see that trend improving as we go into the second half of the year because of the upcoming festive season and so on? Do you see a pickup in that?
Thank you for having me on the call. It's always a delight. Let me just start by telling you that this quarter, our volumes have grown 18% over the last quarter. And not only that, they have also grown 14% over the previous quarter. As you know, Gati is a 33-year-old organization, and we have taken up a massive exercise of transforming Gati. And we have worked a lot on redesigning the network. And this redesigned network is now showing customer comfort, and therefore the volumes have gone up. We now need to relate this into revenue, and you will see a lot of this happening over the next couple of quarters. So we are very confident and very happy that our volumes have increased by 18% year on year and 14% over the last quarter.
Sarkari, like you said, the 18% volume growth now needs to translate into revenues itself. So let's talk about October. October is done. What was the kind of volumes that you handled in October? How does that compare to the overall absolute volume that you saw in the second quarter? And the first half of this year, your revenues are just up 2%. At the start of the year, I remember asking you, you said you would grow 10 to 15% for the whole year. Do you want to revise that guidance for this year in terms of revenue and talk to us about October?
So October has shown similar trend of this quarter volume going up. And as we have corrected our customer contracts, our revenues have also shown growth in the month of October. As you know, this is still half of November will still be the month of festivals. And we see November also starting on a very good note. As far as my projections are concerned, we stick to the 3,000 crores by 2026. These are all steps that we are taking towards building up the volumes and in turn the revenue. It shows the confidence that the customers has on us, because growing 18% over last year and 14% over last quarter is showing the customers are now happy with Gati services.
Right. Mr. Sarkari, okay, we take that point that you're on track for 3,000 crore by the end of FY26. Would have liked a lot more granular details about the second half of this year. And on margins as well, I remember you talking about, double-digit margins in the second half of this year. You postponed that to the middle of next year as well. The first half, we're looking at margins of just around 3.6%. When does this improvement play out, and what can we expect in the near future?
So like I said, the redesign of the network is over. We will see margin improvement in the second half of this year, and the growth in the second half of this year on revenue itself will be in double digits for the second half. Also, just to let you know that we have also now spruced up the organization. We have just recently announced a chief operating officer that we have got into the organization. His name is Sandeep Kulkarni, and he comes with a pedigree background from Tata Click and Amazon over the last 20-odd years. So there is a focus on optimizing the costs and therefore increasing the bottom line.
Mr. Sarkari, I have a question in 2 parts, actually. You mentioned in your investor presentation that your delivery efficiency was around 86% during this quarter. Do you see that improving in the second half of the year to excess of 90%? And part two of my question is that you recently commissioned a hub in Bengaluru in this quarter. You have one more which is being commissioned in Indore in this quarter and two more in the first and second quarter of FY25. How much do you think would that be able to add to your projections and aid in your projections of 3,000 crores towards FY26?
So like I've maintained right from the beginning, infrastructure plays a very important role, and Gati's infrastructure was pretty old when we bought out this company 2.5 years back. Every new hub that we put in, not only do we see growth in volume, but we also see optimization available on the cost. Just to let you know, earlier our infrastructure did not permit us to use large trucks, which were like 40-footer vehicles, which competition has already started using. We have now just started using 40-footer as we put in our new hub. So between Bombay and Delhi, Bombay and Bangalore, we'll be using 40-footer vehicles, and this itself gives us optimization on our costs. So yeah, infrastructure plays a very important role. The first 8 hubs should be up and running by next year, and then we look at the next 8.
All right. And finally, before we let you go, what's the update on the sale of the fuel retail business? You said you had an identified buyer. What's happening out there? When can we hear more on this?
The issue on the fuel sale is, while we still have the buyer who is patient, there is policy decision that needs to be changed in the government because this is public sector units, and we are working with them to see how that can be done as soon as possible.
Right. Mr. Sarkari, you mentioned your FY26 revenue guidance is 3,000 crores. Can you give us a margin guidance for the same as well, since you mentioned that you expect it to be in double digits?
We maintain the 10% that we have given.
All right, take that point. Thanks a lot. And the street would like to know more about the developments taking place in the sale of your fuel retail business. Hope that happens sooner than what the street is anticipating, or perhaps it does get through as well. For now, Gati, on account of a soft revenue and margin compression in the second quarter, down about 4%. Take a short break, come back, get you more on the markets and individual stocks.